Thank you, guys. Good morning, and thank you for being here that early. I actually made it just in the last minute to come here, thanks to Anton. So, as I was already introduced, I'm a business development manager for web and mobile at Adobe in Germany, actually. And I'm really happy to have been invited to Casual Connect to show you the latest and greatest about Flash. So, before we start, actually, I would like to know how many of you are actively developing with Flash. Okay, so, and for those that raised their hands, are you developers or more in the program management or in the in like the project management area? So if you're a project manager or not a developer, raise your hand. Okay, perfect. So I got a good imagination of whom I speak to. So I don't know how many of you know about MEISSNER. MEISSNER is our annual developers conference that is held in LA. In USA, and we're just back from it. It's just 3.5, 4 weeks ago, and MEISSNER is a great place to find out all the greatest and latest about our technologies. And actually, we had some dome blowing, which is actually an insider joke, sessions this year, including some sneaks on Flash. And I cannot show everything today. It will take 3 or 4 hours to take you through all the news. So I would just like to refer you to our website, max.adobe.com, where you find a great portion of sneaks, especially regarding Flash development. So, whoever of you plans your next holiday for 2012, you might consider to visit Max in October 20 to 24. 2012. So that's for the advertisement part. And now the big thing we had announced at Max, or actually 2 weeks before this year, has been Flash Player 11, of course. I don't know, how many of you have already checked out the new features of Flash Player 11? Okay, that's not even half of it, so it makes sense to talk about that a little bit, huh? Maybe I can show you some stuff you have not seen yet, so would be great. This thing is available since October 3, so we are in it for 17, 18 days. We already have a large spread, so as you know, Flash is available to 98% of the internet connected devices. We're talking about desktops, and mobile is catching up already, but we added one very important aspect for the game industry, and this is Stage 3D, aka Molehill, or what has been the code name that was used before. So with Stage 3D, you are enabled to use real 3D scenery from within the Flash player, from within the browser. And this actually enables you to create games that are, that's my take, personal, don't quote me as an Adobe employee with that, but that are regarding quality even better than the PlayStation. So, and I'll prove. Another very important thing and another very interesting thing to announce is the Starling framework, which was shown off at Max. So with the Starling framework, it says switch to Russian. How do you like that? I never had that before. With the Starling framework, you are enabled to GPU accelerate your 2D based games as well. So you can just move all the CPU active stuff on your lame mobile devices that are capable to run and to compute like a desktop PC has been able 10 years before, to the GPU, which is actually much faster and much better to accomplish tasks like that. So some of you might notice the little birdie in the egg below and the iOS devices. So Starling actually is the brother of Sparrow, which is a very famous framework for generating and speeding up games on the iOS platform. And it's actually made by the same developer. So whoever of you looked into Sparrow, you'll find the same thing with the Starling framework and can leverage it for other mobile operating systems as well. So I'm talking a lot and I'm not showing enough, so I will just show you the power of the new Flash 3D capabilities with some videos. Enjoy. So at this point, thanks to our friends from Freema who just provided that preview to us. It's a game actually coming very soon to the browser. And this is why we say the browser is the new gaming console of the web. And to show you another really interesting example, I have actually being allowed to take out a sequence of Max. So this is a recording of Max, the conference, and this is Tim Sweeney of Epic talking.
It's pretty amazing. Unreal Engine 3 is 1 million lines of C++ code, and we're now taking advantage of Adobe's compiler technology to compile this code to run securely within Flash. Now, Flash provides a modern shader-based graphics library comparable to OpenGL that enables us to access the full hardware-accelerated power of a modern PC. So overall, the performance is high, and the code is compatible cross-browser and with all of the major platforms.
So that's really amazing. But I think that probably a lot of you out in the audience think this might be a video and not a real game. So Josh, why don't you play a little bit?
The sequence is actually still, it's cold in here, but it's still making my hairs raise on my arm. Because I don't know how many of you played Unreal to the bitter end until all the night. I did it with my developers, so we had a network game of 30 players going on. It's just messing around with that, and I think that's awesome news. So Epic just announced that they made available their Unreal Engine in Flash. So if anybody of you is thinking that there is something that is not possible, just leave the room. No. Okay, but to the more casual stuff, and you know, I'm pretty sure that many of you are aware that these are like tons and years of development work in that. It doesn't need to be that intense. So take a look at this last video. You might have seen it before. Tycoon, it's actually a 1-year-old video, so there's much more possible in the meantime. But the important point in it is it's just a small Flash-based browser game that could run in Facebook or whatever, that could be monetized, that could be used for brand gamification, like you do with other stuff, and you see all these nice particle effects and other stuff going on. If you're interested in it and want to see how smoothly it runs at frame rates above 30, well above 30 frames per second, I can show it to you after the workshop on my computer. But I'm pretty sure you're tired of videos now, so I want to show you something that is actually quite real. And I'm pretty sure I'm not showing the mobile device yet. I'm pretty sure that most of you know Tanki Online, right? Okay. So actually, with the OK from Anton Volkov, who's sitting in front row here, I'm showing you like sort of a world premiere, is that right? Of Tanki Online 2. So now take a look at that. Hey Tank. So, Tanki Online on a new level. And of course we can fire as well. Check out the particles. Whoa. The bad thing in this tech demo is I cannot destroy anything. But we got all these other nice tanks, and now You got no frame count in there. Oh, you got. Okay, actually my computer is a lame one, so we're at 15 or something like that, but check out the nice particle effects. I'm really loving that. How do you like that? I think it's awesome work. It's great, isn't it? Are you awake? Perfect. So, with that, yep, thank you. With that, let's take a look how we get there. Because Flash Player 10.3, which is actually an old version, you might think, why is this guy talking about old versions? I'm showing you right now, is out to the market for at about 8 months before we introduce Flash Player 11. And Flash Player 10.3 is something that is smoothly and perfectly running on mobile devices. And I'm pretty sure you're all aware of all the talks about HTML5 and maybe like Flash is dead and stuff like that. So long live Flash. In especially the last year. So I want to update you very quickly on what we did before we introduced Flash Player 11, which has all these features inside as well, of course. So Flash Player 10.3 or actually 10.2 already introduced GPU acceleration. This is enabling you to reduce your CPU load on videos by minus 90%. We introduce audio and video hardware decoding, and we optimize everything for mobile. And actually, I cannot read anything on this slide anymore, but you can do, and I don't need to read the slides. So what is the message? The message is we brought Flash Player to mobile, and we enabled, like at about, I think, 300 million mobile devices to run exactly your content. And since we are all about multi-platform development, it's a very important part to realize that you need to code just once and to deploy to all these platforms. So if we're looking at what people are doing in browsers nowadays, especially when they are working for large brands, Stage 3D and Flash Player 11 opens a whole new world to it. And I want to show you another live example, which is on the wrong screen actually, but will be right with you. Here we go. So this is actually a live thing, and this is actually done in Flash Player 11, and I hope the network here is good. It is. Oh, we're finding out now. So if you haven't thought about moving your gaming experiences to large brands to help them spread their message over gaming experiences, over brand gamification, then this is maybe the time to think about that. So as soon as this is loaded, we'll take a look into Stage Juke 3D, which is actually promoting the new Nissan Juke. And many of you will have seen a car configurator before, but I'm pretty sure that not many of you have seen stuff like that before. So what we can do here is like select the color of the car. So I like a blue one. And we can take a look around the car and we can just open it up. So let's walk around it, maybe get a little bit closer. Oh, I don't like the mirror, so maybe I need to talk to the sales rep to change something on that. And I could also enter the car and just drive it. So that's where the gaming comes in. I'm driving my new blue car and collecting some points, and right after telling my friends on Facebook about that. Look at all the great effects, look how smoothly that runs. And as said, we're still in the browser. Okay? You awake now? Perfect. Great. Me too. So, that's cool for desktops, of course. But some of you might have thought about what's going on mobile devices. So this is maybe another world premiere. As you might know, FlashPlay 11 with Stage 3D is not yet available for mobile. The reason behind that is we're working on it. That's good news on the one hand, bad news on the other hand. But we want to have it as perfect as it can be. So we won't release anything before it's not fully finished and before it's not fully leveraging the power that we have in these devices. But to prove that we are working on it, I will show you another example crediting Alternativa platform. Showing the camera, it takes some time. It's a pre-release thing. Oh. So that's it about alphas and tech demos, huh? They might work, they might not work. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. Actually, the frame rate really sucks. And this is because of the camera, not of the device. So, if you guys would be so kind to give back that phone to me, just check it out. And don't go to the home screen or press any buttons, just hand it around so people can see. As I said, that's not the finished thing. It's a preview. It will run much smoother in the end. This is at about 25 frames per second right now. Is that right? So we'll push that to 60. How do you like it? Okay, cool. Proven? Cool. So when we're talking about mobile devices, there's another important aspect, and that is, of course, that you don't want to develop natively for all of these platforms, at least not if you have too much budget or too much time to spend or too much time to waste. The ideal perspective would be not doing what is on that slide, like working like a triangle for iOS, working like a circle for Android, working like a whatever that is called, disk for BlackBerry, and then redoing all the work just to transport the same game, the same experience to another platform as well. You know, the ideal situation would be to code once and deploy from one source code to all of these platforms. And this is what is actually possible with the Flash platform right now. So if some of you have checked out Adobe Air and Adobe Flex and the capabilities of ActionScript 3 and Flex before, you should definitely redo that, because we put a lot of improvements into this Flash platform. Now it's possible to create stunning games and stunning 3D experiences across all devices from one source code. And this is giving you a major advantage before a lot of competitors. Because if your customer or your own project, let's say, has 100% of budget, before you needed to spread it to whatever, 3 platforms, 4 platforms. So you divided your budget into 20% for iOS, 20% for Android, and maybe another 20% for another platform. Right now, you can spend 100% of your budget into one project and make your project and your content much better and deliver to all these platforms. So how does it work? And I said, relook or take a fresh look at Flex. We just introduced Flex 4.5.1 some month ago, and we just announced Flash 4.6 some weeks ago. Actually, Flex 4.5.1 gave a real improvement for mobile devices. And actually our mission, and if I switch that to Russian, you can read the slide. I cannot do while I'm talking. Our mission and our target for this year and for the upcoming years has been to transform Flex to be the new thing for mobile development. Flex as a framework helped in the last years to develop nice interfaces and to be very quick with a lot of pre-made components, like over 250 components, to create like business intelligence interfaces forms and stuff like that, and graphics in the meaning of business data. But we did a lot to it, and we integrated a lot of stuff to it. And now we're like using less RAM for building stuff. We improved the performance across mobile platforms, and it's really worth to take a look into that. Why is this guy talking about Flex? I will show you some examples, actually games that are done in Flex later on. So with Flex 4.6, we again announced a plus 50% performance boost. What's inside is iOS 5 support and support for the new Android release, the ice cream sandwich release. Flash Builder 4.6, which is our authoring tool for both ActionScript and Flex, is of course giving you Flex 4.6 support, but it's also introducing unit testing that is optimized for mobile, and some other really interesting updates. And the best news is it will be out in 2011. So actually we're talking about some few weeks to go there. And it's definitely worth to take another look on Flex then. So how does all this stuff come to mobile? I showed you a slide before. I will just switch back to that one. So we were talking about developing stuff using Flash Pro, using Flash Builder, using Flex maybe, or you're just using ActionScript 3. And then leveraging the Air technology, Adobe Air, to wrap your application and to make it native. So it can run like, not like a Swift, it can run like IPA or like APK or whatever, and can be installed to mobile devices and desktop devices. So if we look at the capabilities of Air, and you might have done that in the last years, and I already reminded you to redo it right now. Let's talk about what we added in 2011 to Air, or with Air 2.7. We made that thing. I won't take you to all these aspects. You can read them. But the most important thing is we improved performance on iOS by a factor of 4. So actually, if you're building a Flash application running on Air, and you have that running on iOS, and I will show you some examples soon, it feels native. There's no difference to a native application. It depends on what you're doing. You can make it very slow. And with all the development work that is done on all the platforms available, you can mess up stuff. You can do stuff wrong, and you can just misuse certain stuff. For instance, if you load a 10 megabyte graphics that is not optimized for mobile and you want to rotate it on a mobile device, this will be painfully slow with every technology. Okay, so you still need to optimize for mobile, of course. Don't walk away and say, Jay said everything runs smoothly when I just use Air. That's not true. You need to optimize. But we're helping you to do that because since October 3, Air 3 is on the market. And Air 3 is bringing hardware-accelerated video to mobile. We improved stuff like we deliver iOS background audio, support the Android licensing model, and some other stuff. And on Macs, actually, we announced that we will support Windows Metro in the future. So if anybody of you is wondering about the Windows support right now and stuff like that, you now should be convinced that this is the right way to go. And actually, there are two things that I highlighted in yellow that are really interesting as well. The two new things is the Air captive runtime, which allows you to package Air to your application, so it's really one standalone thing. Before, on some platforms, you needed to have the Air runtime installed, and then you add your application. So this forces a user, if he is going on a website, for instance, and say, okay, I want to download this nice game that is made in Air to my desktop and run it locally. When he tries to install, it will say, okay, Adobe Air to run that, and you need to download it. And this is another hurdle that some users don't want to take. So with Air captive runtime, you can actually put in the runtime and package it up to your application, and all will come out of one source. So what I think is the most mind-blowing thing in this year is actually Air native extensions. Air native extensions enable you to take out the code that is really, really, really processor intense, such as, for instance, the physics engine, and take that code to the native environment and do it in C or in Objective-C or in Java. So whenever there's something that is not provided by R or where you need more performance with, you can just take this code, do it native, call it from inside your ActionScript or Flex environment, and just run it. So anybody saying, hey, I cannot do my application because error doesn't give me the feature X and Z, I say, okay, just put in an error native extension and use it. And another interesting aspect is you can use legacy code. So if some of you have their own whatever gaming engines written in Java, you can just take this code and make it accessible from inside the Flash application over error native extensions. So if anybody of you still thinks that he's not able to do what he can imagine on a mobile device, or of course on desktop devices as well, here you go. Oh, Russian version. Sorry, staring at my English. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I have another slide for you that actually I always wanted to do a short URL with, but maybe this is something you can remember, or just take a picture of it. If you want to take a look at the error native extensions that are already available, just take a look at this URL. There are some example AINs that you can play around with. And the important aspect of the error native extension is this is going to be a huge library very soon. So as long as people are committing their, contributing their extensions, the stuff that they are writing, and I ask you to actively do that. So if you have something that is interesting for other people as well, think about providing your technology to others to help speed up development. This is going to be an open library where people can leverage this functionality, and it's already growing. So I want to talk a little bit about this white thing, which is actually Flash Media Server. I won't bother you too long with that, but there's one very important thing going on in the video distribution area. And this is the update to Flash Media Server, which we just announced 2 months ago, and it's available on the market. And the important message with that is, now everybody that is using Flash Media Server to provide video content, maybe inside a game, maybe using the camera to add social features or to just skin your avatar with your face or whatever, and you're doing that in a high bandwidth or in a high load scenario, consider using Flash Media Server 4.5. Why? Because the old thing of, hey, this is not running on iOS, it's over. We just integrated HLS. This is HTTP live streaming, and this is actually the streaming model that Apple is using on its iOS devices. And there's another interesting aspect, and this is the Flash Media Gateway. So when you're thinking about making like a game, an application that really leverages social features, you might want to enable people to talk with each other. So inside a multiplayer game, for instance, where people are driving with tanks, maybe they want to talk to each other, say, hey, you just shot me, and whatever, or go around that corner. So think about integrating the features of Flash Media Server and Flash Media Gateway, which will enable you to just set up a call. You could even call out over the landline or to a mobile network. And you could use video conferencing scenarios as well. And this stuff is coming out of the box. You don't need to think much about that. You just add one line of code, and then you have your video conference in your application. So that's the reason why I'm talking about that. Oh, Russian slide. And maybe this is something you might want to look at. So still got some minutes. Am I talking too fast? No, perfect. Okay, so let's do a reality check. Can I have back my phone, please? technology. Great. Ooh. Did you know that Gaddafi is dead? Breaking news. Gaddafi is dead. I just reconnected my iPad, so it says breaking news. No? So, I'm pretty sure many of you know Machinarium, right? Yeah. Let me see, how many of you know Machinarium? Okay. How many of you played it? Perfect. So, I will show it to you anyway, because I love it. This is, as many of you might know, an application or a game that is available for a long time, I think 3 or 4 years already. So Amanita Design, it's a Czech a gaming studio. They made it available via Flash for the browser. So you're playing it in the browser environment. Now what they did is that they just ported the application, and many of you might have existing Flash games for the browser. They ported it to iOS, to the iPad 2, using Adobe Air. And if you look at that, you will see that stuff is just going as smooth, if I hit the right spots, of course, as it is in the game, as it has been before. So I walk around with my robot and do nice stuff. And Amanita has been insanely successful with this game. Insanely successful. So these guys are already millionaires, at least in their local currency. So that's it for one of the most successful games yet. Actually, I want to show you another example that is not so gaming-like, but that is another really successful project. It's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. And this application is called PolitiFact. It's built in Flex, and it's not the most recent version of it, whatever. And they put it out, I think, end of last year already. And what this application is about, it's like it's recording statements of politicians. So somebody's saying the gas prices in da-da-da went up when we did this and that. And then the community is voting, is that true or not? So then you have the truth-o-meter, and actually it's giving you statistics on certain people, where you can see, okay, are their pants on fire, or are these true and honest people? So Barack Obama doesn't look that bad. If you look at Donald Trump, it seems he's from Germany, but that's only the colors. So, and why am I showing that to you? I want to show you the multi-platform experiences that you can easily build. And that's the reason why I needed my phone. And maybe I'm not showing it to you because yes, I will. So, that's my iPhone. And, damn it. Demo bug, huh? Not connected to the Wi-Fi. So breaking news is old. No. Apologize for that. Give me a second. Adobe is showing how an internet connection is made with an iPhone 4. That's the tweet that's just going out. How boring. All right, so you have seen PolitiFact running on the iPad, and the exact same application out of exactly the same code is running on the iPhone 4 as well. So I apologize for not showing it on the Android phone. I might have deleted it. Maybe I have it on this phone or one of the other ones. But I think you can imagine that already, oh yeah, I have it, that already the screen changes and the changes in the density of the display and everything like that is a really work-intense thing. And our tool set is giving you a lot of advantages regarding that, because it's just converting stuff for you and taking care of different screen sizes and different devices and their capabilities for you. AR is doing device capability recognition. So you can set conditions in your application and can say, okay, what if I don't have a back camera, for instance? So you just leave out that code, you don't provide that option, whatever. And you don't have to think about that when Samsung or HTC or Apple or whatever or whoever is bringing out a new device, which regularly means that you go and recode your stuff, provide an update later on. You can just anticipate the situation that there might be a NFC module added where you can do near-field communication for payment models and provide the capabilities to your application, but you'll also leave it out if the device is not having the capabilities to run that. So this got no internet connection at the moment, but I just want to show you that PolitEffect is on Android as well. Well, I think it will just fail to load any data because I got no Wi-Fi connection. But yeah, that's it. But you see, it's there, it's responsive, it's the same application. If I switch on Wi-Fi, we'll see the same content in there, which is boring, so we step out of that. I still got some minutes, I hope, so I want to show you some other examples. Let's take a look at Cirque. Cirque is a physics engine-enabled game that is created completely in the ActionClip 3. It's about gravity, so I'm flying with this small rocket, and the planet's gravity. Can you see it? Yeah. Whoa! And this is really, really fast. It's running on 60 frames per second. That's a lot of fun. I can do that for hours. Somebody stop me. Ah! I'm not dying. Okay, let's shoot him off. No, I'm dead. Okay. Sure. Easy game, easy application, multi-platform application. Code once, deploy many. Cool thing, huh? Okay. So, one other example. It's called Pyramix because I mentioned that before. This is actually a flags-based game. So, these guys created a game that is leveraging the flags framework, and as you can see, it's not like it's about like creating words up here. So maybe this one will work. It's a flags-based game, and it's responsive, it's fast, it's whatever. It's not 3D, of course. Yeah, but it's multi-platform. Again. Code once, deploy many. So is there anything else? Oh yeah, I would love to show you that Chinese thing that just came out. Are there any Chinese-speaking people in the room? So you might help me go through the login process, but I simply cannot accomplish that screen. It always gives me that error message, and I don't know what it is. But actually, it's a 3D massive multiplayer online game that is realized using Flash and Air. And the next time when I come to Kyiv, I will have figured it out and show it to you, okay? All right. Yeah. Okay, so we started late. We'll end late. Some facts on Machinarium. This thing took off. It is the #1 app in 13 countries. It is the #1 paid app on iPad 2. And it became the game of the week and got promoted for 1 week by Apple in the week of release. Oh, Russian slide, sorry. I cannot read that then. So, some facts about Air. We currently count over 10,000 Air mobile apps. So if anybody of you is browsing in the iOS store, for instance, you might use a Flash-based, Air-based application today. It might be your most beloved app already, I don't know. And the numbers raise day over day. We do have far over 200 million flash-based mobile devices, so it makes sense to think beyond the browser and beyond the desktop. And as you can see, Alternativa platform is already doing that, so you might want to catch up. We predict that the number of flash-based devices by 2015 will exceed 1 billion devices. So this is a massive market and a massive opportunity. The number one iPad 2 app worldwide is Machinarium already, flash-based, air-based. The number one free app for iPad in China, which is a huge market, is an application called Dr. Stanley's House. It's completely ActionScript 3 flash-based. The number one news app in App Store, so serious thing, worldwide is PolitiFact, what I just showed to you. And there's another number one free app, which is actually in the App Store Spain last week. It's called Que Cochino Hoy, which means, what do I cook today? So it's like a cooking thing with receipts and stuff going on. What else is built on Flash and Air? At Max, we introduced the Creative Cloud. The Creative Cloud is an Adobe-provided cloud service that allows you to put your projects and your content and all the files you're working on into the cloud and share it with others. For example, your team. More important, to share it across devices. So you don't need to worry about copying it from one device to the other while you're working at it. We'll just do it for you. And we introduced a whole range of new touch apps. And why am I telling you that? Because all of these touch apps are built using Air. All of these touch apps, and this includes the new Photoshop Touch, which is bringing Photoshop functionality to an Android tablet or to the iPad. And the stuff that is not available on Android yet will be soon available on iPad and the other way around. So we didn't manage to bring everything out for all the platforms. Regardless of if it's multi-platform or not, we need to do some testing to ensure that we are not bashed by anything when there are bugs inside it. So Photoshop Touch, for instance, brings the complete Photoshop image, not the complete functionality, of course, but what makes sense to mobile devices. So these Photoshop Touch files can be automatically synced with the Creative Cloud. And this provides easy access to your artwork for further refinement in the desktop version. So work on the go, in the subway, wherever. There's another application called Adobe Ideas, where you can design anywhere using vectors, layers, color themes, and then use the Creative Cloud and upload it and maybe finish it off in Illustrator. Adobe Collage is helping you to create conceptual mood boards. I would like to show them to you, but I'm running out of time. So you just have to believe me and check it out later on. They are available in the Android market or in the iOS market, and as I said, will be vice versa. It's very soon. But there's one application that I'm actually showing in this screen I want you to take a look at specifically. It's called Adobe Proto. So whenever you're prototyping an application or a web page, or just want to make a quick concept, imagine you can just open that application, do with the 4-finger slide, okay, I need 4 columns. Then you put it in a box, this will be converted to an image. Then you write like that, and you will have lorem ipsum text inside. And you just refine it a little bit, add some pictures, add the text flow, control that, and it's really going smoothly and easily. And you will just take that prototype and over the Creative Cloud have a fully web standards HTML5 enabled thing you can continue to work at in Dreamweaver or whatever application you prefer to do that. So if you want to send your prototype to a customer, you can just do it the same way. You can just make it available in Creative Cloud and talk to your customer, say, hey, how do you like it? Should we change something? And then you work off that file and finalize your project. So Proto, to me, is really cool. Another thing, and that's a Russian-only site, because I know what it means. I hope it's translated correctly. Anybody of you knowing the icon below? Do you know what that stands for? I'll give you a hint. That's PhoneGap. You guys know PhoneGap? Anybody of you developing HTML-based mobile apps? No? Okay. Perfect. So it's good that I'm talking about that. PhoneGap actually is a framework that enables you to build HTML and JS-based applications across devices without taking care which concrete features are available on which device. And Adobe just acquired PhoneGap. So as you already know, and I talked about that for 45 minutes, you can use Flash and Flex to work across devices and across browsers and across whatever, mobile and desktop. With PhoneGap, we are adding the same thing. If you ever think you need an HTML-based service, you can do the same thing with PhoneGap, using PhoneGaps to publish your stuff in a code once, deploy many scenario. So that's the message with that. And our contribution to the HTML5 and the open web standard world is huge, because there's another acquisition. We just acquired TypeKit. TypeKit is bringing real fonts to the web, so the times of Arial, Helvetica, and Comic Sans are hopefully over. We just did a huge contribution to the over the W3C, working with the WebKit group, with guys like Google for the WebKit engine, and we contributed the CSS shaders, which enable you to have kinematic effects in the browser. So if you're turning the page, turning a web page, or there's an example where you have a Google map that is folded like a real map and like crumpled. So you have kinematics effects in the browser. That's something for the next session, because my time is running out. I know. I just wanted to let you know that we're not only thinking of Flash, actually the open web platform is a very important part of our work as well. So my last thing is, if you want to know more about that, there are 3 things you can do. Thing 1 is, book your travels to Berlin for next Friday. In 1 week we'll have the Adobe Tech Summit, and we'll have more than 16 hours of workshops with speakers like Mike Stones and Tom Kacha, who will give you an introduction to Air native extensions, to stalling and whatever, like in a hands-on coding scenario. Thing number 2 is, go to Anton Volkov's session at 4 p.m., 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
And learn more about Alternativa platform and the great editor they are doing. I want to have an editor like that for my living room, so I can edit my, like retouch my children's room and stuff like that. And send some shooting people to that. Thing 3 is, go to Flash Jam in Kyiv, actually in November, I think, right?
December 10, 11.
December. So my buddies Lee Brumelo and Tom Kacha will be there and talk a lot about technical details. They can do that much better than I. So with that, if you have any questions, ask them in 5 seconds and I'll answer in 3. Or just talk after the session. I think my time is over.
I have a time for 2 questions.
Okay, 2 questions.
Everything is clear? Anybody have a question? Okay.
Wait for the mic.
What are the plans of Adobe in future? When was going the next version of Flash IDE? And what about the next, your technical focuses
That's a great question. Actually, I'm asking that myself. No, just kidding.
Thank you.
We just delivered, I think, the most massive update we did for years. This whole Stage CD thing is really a large piece of work and like a big thing. What we are doing actually, and this I already answered actually with showing you that device, is we are taking that to mobile. So I cannot talk about too much details, but you will soon experience this performance on mobile, and this is our future plan.
Any questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
very
guys
much,
for your time.
Andrei.
Thanks.
The next session will start in 5 minutes.